Good morning and welcome to this edition of San Diego People. I'm Ross Becker. San Diego home prices. Now, we know it's a huge problem here, and we all love to complain about it. But for a significant portion of the population, those high home prices are standing in the way of taking a huge step in their lives. We're talking about first-time home buyers. But it's not just the prices standing in their way. Joining me now to talk about all of this, Vince Nowicki and Ron Araujo of Mission Federal Credit Union. Gentlemen, thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Let me take you back. I remember when I bought my first house. I had to wait quite a while. I had to save a lot. But if you guys were young right now, could you buy a house right now on the way the conditions are? Pretty tough, aren't they?
I would say, absolutely.
For first home buyers.
Well, first-time home buyers are facing a lot of challenges that maybe we didn't have years ago. And I think one of the biggies that a lot of folks talk about right now is the debt. You know, we have a nation that's under $1 trillion of student debt, and when you carry those payments into a situation where you're trying to buy a home in a high-priced community like San Diego, that's going to be a huge challenge. So, Ron,
what we're saying really is that many first-time home buyers are facing two challenges. One, they're their worst enemy in some cases. It's talking about debt. We're talking about the way they save money.
That's absolutely true, and it's because of the price of homes in San Diego, and it's a fantastic place to live. That's a big piece of it, right? I mean, there's a reason the prices are where they are. But as a first-time home buyer, a lot of things go along with that. Probably some student debt, certainly a lot less financial wherewithal. Otherwise, maybe some poor habits from a financial standpoint with respect to budgeting, things like that. So there's a lot of things that are working against you right off the bat if you are trying to qualify today for a home in San Diego.
Let me just talk in general for a second, because this has always frustrated me. If people are trying to sell homes in this market, wouldn't it be better to lower the prices and get more people in homes rather than prices keep going up and cutting more people out of the opportunity?
Well, we're just coming out of a situation now where a lot of folks were underwater on their homes. Underwater meaning they owed more on the home than it was worth. So they're just finding an opportunity to get some equity in that property, and you know, they're going to take advantage of it. And also, there isn't a whole lot of inventory on the market here in San Diego as well. So it's a pure capitalist economy. You know, if you can get more money for it, absolutely you will, and the demand is there.
So a first-time home buyer, they want to buy. They have that need. They have the need. They have the want. They're sitting at home right now. Let's go through the kinds of things that they need to be doing on a yellow pad. The things they need to be writing down, maybe over the next 6 months, over the next year, the way they can make changes in their lives in order to get to that first house at some point in the future, because the dream has to stay alive.
Right.
What do you think things they need to write down on that pad?
Well, I'll tell you right off the bat, it's having a disciplined budget approach to your finances. A lot of first-time home buyers right now who tend to be younger haven't had to be in that situation just yet, especially if you've gone straight from living with mom and dad to going right to college, and you know, there's a check coming in and all that. Now you're at the point where, okay, I really have to figure this out. There's only so much money coming in from a job standpoint. If you have a job, there's only so much money coming in from that standpoint. Now I got to figure out, how do I parse this out and make this work? And it comes down to being realistic about what you're going to budget. Anybody can put together a budget that's unrealistic and says, oh yeah, you can buy a house. But the reality is there's a lot of things that come into play when you're going to buy a home, and you've got to plan for that well in advance. And you said 6 months, that's a great time to look at it.
Is it?
But start practicing your budget. See what you can do in 6 months from a budgeting standpoint, and then that'll tell you how much home you can afford. I think you shared some numbers about what, you know, with this kind of income to get this kind of down payment.
Was it 18 years or something? It would take you almost 2 decades for most people to save enough for a down payment these days.
Right, and they're talking about saving up for a 20% down payment. Right. And of course, you don't need a full 20% to get into a home, but if you look at realistic prices here in San Diego, let's say you were to buy a condo for $400,000, and that's very realistic, and you were to put 5% down, which means you're paying private mortgage insurance, right? So that's an added bill. And if you bring no additional debt to the equation, and you get a 4% 30-year fixed, which is about where rates are today, you're having to make nearly $80,000 a year just to qualify for that loan under qualified mortgage type guidelines.
And once you start paying the mortgage, then that's going to take even less out of your budget. Then you have to figure out, can you drive to work? Can you buy the groceries on top of having that house and pay the taxes?
Exactly, and that's why that's an unrealistic number, because you are going to have a car payment, because you have to, you know, you're not going to,
you have to live.
You got to get to work, and again, we spoke about student debt, and a lot of these folks are carrying that with them as well. And folks are waiting longer to get married anymore, so you don't have that golden time of double income, no kids, right? Where you have somebody making $50,000 and $50,000 and really no other debt or no kids to have to save up for college and orthodontia and stuff. So they're missing out on that as well.
Another thing to put on the table here, and a lot of people are waiting not only for that, but they're waiting for their wages to go up. People these days they say, well, I'm going to wait another 5 years because I'll be making more in 5 years. Well, that may not be the case.
Yeah, there's a good chance that's not going to be the case. And in fact, nationally, that's been the one surprise about this recovery. For the last year, we've been producing about 250,000 jobs a month, which is plentiful from a national standpoint. But wage growth isn't there. So you're seeing wage stagnation here, and people aren't getting that natural lift. So they don't have that additional disposable income. They talked about how some with gas prices lower, maybe not in California, but lower somewhere, there's a little bit of a windfall there for consumers to spend. But you're right, wage growth simply isn't there, and it's hard to make a commitment on something like a 30-year mortgage if you're not sure if you've got a raise coming in the next couple of years.
Now, there's something I know Mission Federal is dedicated to, and I want to talk a little bit about it, because one of the big obstacles for young people getting into a home is fear. They don't have a clue how this works. You mentioned PMI, for instance. I've had a lot of people come up to me and say, what's PMI? I know because I've had it on some houses in my past. I learned the hard way.
Right.
But is fear something that a young person can overcome? Could they walk into a Mission Federal and say, I know nothing about buying a house. Can you sit down and explain to me how much I need to buy one? Because I've got a family coming and I'd like to have one.
Well, Mission Fed does something on the average of once a month in our branch locations, and we have first-time homebuyer seminars. Now, this is a purely cost-free education seminar, and we dump tons of information on these folks that come in that are interested in buying the house for the first time. And we start out from a budgeting standpoint, and we roll all the way through, looking at your credit scores, how important that is, the different types of mortgage loan products that are out there, explaining PMI, and how big a down payment they need, and where they can seek some additional types of funding, to get a down payment, and also how to select a home. And we invite a realtor to these first-time homebuyer seminars, so we bring it all the way through to the end and say, and here's a realtor to tell you what the inventory looks like and what you can expect from your realtor. Because again, success is where preparation meets opportunity. Preparation's all about the education, and that realtor is going to send you those listings through the MLS, and that's where you're going to find your opportunity. So the fear comes from the lack of education, not being aware, and then you find the opportunity with the realtor.
And I know also there's a lot of government programs that are available these days. I'm going to talk more about those during this half hour as we go through, because it's not 20% necessarily anymore. Right. There's ways to do it for less. There are ways to get around some of the regulations. And then it depends on which house also, or which condo you decide to pick.
Right.
So, gentlemen, thank you. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back here on San Diego People, we're going to be talking to a real estate analyst about the bigger picture here in San Diego. Prices, where they're going in the next, year or 2 years. And then, of course, some more about how you can get into that first house. We'll be right back here on San Diego People.